Hi, this is Remembering the Past, the show where we talk about people who died recently who've had a profound effect on our history, our society, or our culture. Tonight we're going to start out with EM Nathanson, who died recently at the age of 88. EM Nathanson was a nice Jewish boy born in the Bronx, and he was an author. He wrote a lot of books, but he only wrote one worth talking about, and that was The Dirty Dozen in 1965. In fact, I don't even know if the book is worth talking about. Who's read the book? But it was made into the greatest ensemble war movie of all time in 1967 by Robert Aldrich. And to pay tribute to E.M. Nathanson, here's the trailer from the movie.
Major Reisman, you are ordered by Allied command to select 12 general prisoners, convicted by courts-martial and sentenced to be executed or serve lengthy prison terms for murder, rape, robbery, and other crimes of violence. And you will deliver them secretly behind enemy lines in France to undertake a mission of sabotage that could change the course of the war. The 12 men will be known as the Dirty Dozen.
Lee Marvin as Major John Reisman.
There's a little of Major Reisman in every man, says Marvin. Tough and unyielding, yet compassionate. I think it's the best role I've ever been asked to play.
You've all volunteered for a mission which gives you just 3 ways to go. Either you can follow up in training and be shipped back here for immediate execution of sentence, or you can follow up in combat, in which case I will personally blow your brains out, or you can do as you're told, in which case you might just get by.
Now, you hold it right there. This war was not started for your private gratification, and you can be damn sure that this army isn't being run for your personal convenience either.
Ernest Borgnine as General Warden.
I'm tired of seeing generals portrayed as desk-bound pen pushers, says Borgnine. So I've played Warden as a rough professional soldier.
Robert Ryan as Colonel Everett Dasher Breed.
There were officers like Breed, says Ryan, who could never suffer the rules broken or even bent a little.
Major Reisman's compliments, sir. You prefer to be captured or destroyed?
Jimmy Brown as Napoleon Jefferson.
Jefferson is any man fighting for recognition against the odds, says Brown. I think I understand him pretty well.
John Cassavetes as Victor Franco.
Says Cassavetes. Franco is a petty hoodlum forced to heroism by circumstances beyond his control.
We go on that mission, we all get killed. That's what they want. That's what they want.
Trini Lopez as Jimenez.
He's crawling with hate.
Charles Bronson as Vladislav.
The last guy in the world you'd expect to be a hero.
Telly Savalas as Archer Maggot.
Maggot is a maniac, says Savalas. His religious fanaticism can never be moderated or quelled. It is a constant danger.
Clint Walker as Samson Posey.
An Indian with war paint smeared on his soul. Train them, excite them, arm them.
And turn them loose on the Nazi High Command.
Jefferson! Boy! Come on!
Thanks for writing that one, E.M. Nathanson. Lee Marvin, Jim Brown, John Cassavetes, Charles Bronson. Like I say, the best ensemble war movie ever made. If anybody has a nominee for a better one, I'll hang up and listen for my answers. We're going to move to the other side of the spectrum now with Mother Angelica, who died recently at the age of 92. She was the Franciscan nun who was probably the most successful television broadcasting nun in history with her Eternal Word television network. The BBC4 obituary program Last Word with Matthew Bannister did a nice profile of Mother Angelica.
Mother Angelica was the American Catholic nun who founded her own TV and radio stations. From humble beginnings in a garage in Alabama, the Eternal Word Television Network, or EWTN, now has millions of viewers around the world. Its initial success owed a lot to the on-air personality of Mother Angelica herself.
Mother Angelica Live, brought to you from the Eternal Word Television Studios in Birmingham, Alabama.
There is a hot place, and once if you ever get down there, there's no coming back. You say, Mother, you're just trying to scare us. You're absolutely right. I intend to scare the hell out of you, because that's where you're going.
Mother Angelica was born Rita Rizzo in Ohio. As EWTN presenter Joanna Bogle explains, her troubled childhood led her to the church.
Mother Angelica was the classic child from a very difficult and impoverished background, Italian-American, Catholic, Life was very much helped by the Catholic Church, by being educated by nuns, by belonging to a strong network of faith and joyful assumptions that life should be there to be shared and love given.
How did she get into television?
What happened was she was asked to be on some local TV network, and she was rather appalled at the framework in which she was placed.
Saw a synopsis of a movie called The Word. So I asked to see the manager. I said, "Are you going to air this movie?" He said, "Yes." I said, "Are you Christian?" He said, "Yes." And I walked out of the studio. I would no longer make programs or air them on his station. He said to me, "You leave this station, you're off of television. I don't need you. I only need God. I'll build my own."
And so she asked what you had to do, and they all said, "Well, you can't do it. You need to buy the equipment."
I saw a very small studio in Chicago, Channel 38. I realized by the very size of it that it didn't take much to reach the masses. And I remember standing in the doorway and I said, "Lord, I got to have one of these." I came home, couldn't get it out of my mind.
Eternal Word Television Network, built for you.
But it took off and she became a very popular figure. What would you see in the schedule on a typical day at the height of her fame?
You had this wonderful thing called Message from Mother, when she sat with a Bible on her lap, expounding the scriptures. And then you would have talk shows in which they would interview people. But in the early days, some of these were fairly dire.
Did people call in to speak to her on the air?
Yes, that was an early feature too. A lot of this was live. You know, there was an element of the real about it.
So we have another call. Hello?
Hello?
Where are you from?
DeLand, Florida.
And what is your question?
I was confirmed 4 years ago in the Catholic Church, and I love it. And I tried all the churches out around the area. I have 4 children, and I had my tubes tied. I don't know what to do. I love the Catholic faith. I just don't know what to do in this situation. I've asked a few priests.
And what do they tell you?
They say leave it to the Lord. You know, I would do it in a minute.
What does your heart tell you?
That the Lord performs miracles.
So it was real. But yeah, you called in and asked Mother for advice, sometimes about family situations.
The former editor of the Catholic Universe newspaper, Paul Burnell, interviewed Mother Angelica when she visited the UK.
She was very much a larger-than-life character. She wasn't kind of a one for church technicalities. I think she enjoyed the role of interacting with people because, as you know, in this business, you see people on camera, off camera. They may be 2 different people, but what you saw off camera is what you saw on camera. When she met people, she just genuinely loved meeting and interacting with people.
I think it comes back to authenticity. Mother knew what she believed. She prayed about it. She had a deep, simple faith, and it's not saying what the consumer culture wants to say.
Is it reversible by surgery?
I've been told it is reversible.
And I know all these liberals out there hopping and skipping in their rooms, but you just hop and skip, sweetheart, because you're dealing here with an individual who knows she did wrong and feels bad about it.
She fell out with the church as the church sometimes reformed to become more liberal. There were times when she didn't see eye to eye with the establishment of the church in North America, did she?
Very much so, and I would say she thought it wasn't reforming, it was just getting muddled. There were 2 or 3 bishops that she fell out with quite openly.
She called one of them a heretic.
Yeah, quite shocking, and that's what I mean. She lost her temper, shockingly.
One of the reasons why some of the bishops didn't like her, because she's not a bureaucrat. Church bureaucrats and sort of place servers can't stand people who are kind of one-offs like Mother Angelica was. And you could tell she was kind of the most streetwise kind of woman of the cloth you've ever seen around.
One time somebody said to me, we're very faulty, they said, "Why don't you air these people?" And I said, "No, I won't, because I don't think they're Catholic." He says, "By what right do you have to say that?" I said, "I own the network."
We're going to close with our feature tonight. Merle Haggard. My man Merle Haggard died at the age of 79 on his birthday. He and Buck Owens created the Bakersfield Sound in country music. His parents were Okies, moved out to California. He had a rough childhood, got thrown in jail when he was a teenager. Johnny Cash brought him up on stage during a concert at San Quentin. That turned Merle Haggard onto country music, and when he got out of jail, the rest is history. Here's Merle with one of my early favorites, Mama Tried.
I turned 21 in prison, doing life without parole. No one could steer me right, but Mama tried. Mama tried to raise me better, but her pleading I denied. That leaves only me to blame, 'cause Mama tried.
He wrote great country songs too, and here's his version of one of my favorites, The Bottle Let Me Down.
Tonight, the bottle, he let me down. And let your memory come around. The one true friend I thought I found. Tonight, the bottle, he let me down. Oh, wait, no.
That one's so good I'm going to do two covers on it. First, Waylon.
Tonight, the bottle, let me down. Let your memory come around. The one true friend that I thought I'd found. Tonight, the bottle let me down.
How about Emmylou Harris covering Merle?
Tonight, the bottle let me down. And let your memory come. The one true friend thought I found. Tonight, the bottle let me down.
Besides writing and singing, he could mimic. Here he is on Glenn Campbell mimicking some of the great country music artists, and Buck Owens and Johnny Cash join him on stage.
Best country music impressions I ever heard. How about doing Marty Robbins? Truthfully, I can't hardly do a show without getting asked for him anymore. I know what you mean. Do a little Marky. Okay. I told Mary about us. I told her about us. Mary cried for me. Mary took me back again. Hey, that's New Heights Snow. That big 8-wheeler run down a track. He pulled up and that ain't a song. They were flying so high from my below sky. You gotta do Buck Owens. Okay, do Buck. Oh, the sun's gonna shine tonight. Love's gonna be things are gonna be the way they were before. Love's gonna live here again. Love's gonna live here. No more loneliness, only happiness. Love's gonna live here again. I just love your impressions. Why don't you do Johnny for me? Johnny Cash, you kill me. We got married in a fever. Hotter than a popcorn sky. We've been talking about Jackson ever since the fire went out. Oh, Jackson, look out, Jackson now.
What a talent Merle Haggard was. Here's one of my favorites, The Fighting Side of Me.
They're walking on the fighting side of me, running down a way of life our fighting men have fought and died to keep. If you don't love it, leave it. Let this song that I'm singing be a warning. When you're running down a country horse, you're walking on the fighting side of me.
Here's one we closed with, one of my favorite songs, the Townes Van Zandt classic that he did with Willie Nelson, Pancho and Lefty. Here's Merle's portion.
The poets tell how Pancho fell and left his living in a cheap hotel. Desert's quiet, Cleveland's cold, so the story ends, we're told. Pancho needs your prayers, it's true. Save a few for Lefty too. He only did what he had to do, and now he's growing old.
If you like country music, it's nothing better than Merle Haggard. Well, I'm going to close on that note. I want to thank my producer and IT genius, Sid Tepps, and there's no other song we can close with when we do Merle Haggard. It's his 1969 classic that became a cultural touchstone, one of the most famous country songs ever, Okie From Muskogee.
And I'm proud to be an Okie from Muskogee. Bless place where even squares can have a ball. We still wave old glory down at the courthouse, and white lightning's still the biggest thrill of all.